It's the worst of the CBC for April 5th, 2022, the show where we watch the CBC so you don't have to. And I know, what happened to your amazing Florida studios? Well, we've decided to upgrade for the ambiance. As the CBC decided to award itself an award, we decided to give you the full experience by being near the trash cans. So this episode literally smells for us how it feels to watch an hour of CBC straight. And yes, the CBC's The National did win an award for best thing ever for the Canadian Broadcasting Institute or whatever.
It was like the Canadian Broadcasting Awards, and it's like
a government
gas,
controlled broadcasting corporation award thing. You gave it to a government controlled news Michiki. Great. So we'll do a full breakdown, kind of, and skim over. So they start with Ukraine crisis, and listen, serious. Now they're going with the whole, like, Russia's committing genocide, and they do the sad reporter voice, and this is what it's like. Just say war crimes, because it's not like the Holocaust is a genocide, Rwanda is a genocide, the Holodomor is a genocide. Those are genocides, and we're not saying what Russia isn't doing is bad, but like those are war crimes, and like war is really bad and atrocious, and war is evil. But there's war crimes, which is, I guess, tying up civilians and shooting them. That's what this is. So that's that, and then we get into the next thing, which is just more COVID panic was number 2, I believe.
Well, it doesn't really matter the order, but like I think long COVID was the second least egregious story, and it's still stupid because they literally bring on an expert to talk about people who have long COVID. They just grab 2 women who have long COVID, which the expert literally says is undefinable and is not in a real thing that exists, but were kind of no symptoms that are associated with it. It's just called some people recover from diseases a bit slower. Some people
that was the thing.
Some people remain kind of
my favorite,
sick along.
There's a better COVID story, by better I mean worse, where they're like, people are scared to go back to the office. Some people are experiencing trepidation at the thought of going to the office. And this is a story, like some people are just... Like, was anyone even like saying like I'm scared, or just people say other people are scared?
Literally, the only lady that they even interviewed who had a mask was like, "Yeah, I think things should get back to normal," which was kind of confusing.
There was one lady wearing a mask outside, and she's like, "Everyone needs to just go back to normal and suck it up."
It is very telling when the only people that can actually go along with the CBC narrative that they're scared is the person that they clearly went to the office and they scheduled an interview with this guy, and they were going to make this guy the big part of the story. And he wasn't even a business owner saying, "Oh, I want my people to get back to work," and then it was just kept like going on for like 5 minutes of him saying, "But I know people are scared," and like literally every single drawer in this office, all the paper for the printers, it's all been replaced with rapid tests because we're trying to remain as safe as possible, and we know people are crying, and we know certain people are still at home, they won't come to the office. Man, if you're a business owner at this point and people refuse to come to the office, just fire them. Even if they can work from home and it doesn't change anything, the fact that they require to stay home over this is like should give you zero confidence in them as an employee.
Yeah. Now, the best part, like I think the most entertaining, is they have some Elon Musk panic, because Elon Musk bought 9.2% of Twitter, and like they're worried. The great was how they paired. So like the Elon Musk story is great because they're like panicking, like, what if Twitter's most controversial people is buying it? Yes, that's what Elon Musk is known for. He's not known for starting PayPal or Tesla or SpaceX or any of the things he's done. He's known for his controversial tweets. Is like, yes, that's, and they were just showing. My favorite is like, he once put out these controversial things about making stocks he's like, should Tesla stocks be $420? I was like, obviously that's a joke. Obviously that's a joke about $420. Like, you know, there will only be 69 shares of Tesla and they'll all be $429. You'd have to be brain dead or an executive producer at the CBC to not understand that one. But they did both. And they're like, and then they had like experts come on like, so he said he's in favor of free speech.
And we had to go back and watch that like twice, because it was so bad. Just like they're just talking about, well, like Elon Musk is in favor of so-called free speech, and then talks about like.
But him being on the problem could bring things that are more problematic. Literal free speech in quotation marks, followed up by things might get problematic.
The only thing they were missing was her like tipping her glasses down or something. It's just all this sort of like, it's not even a story. They are literally not even covering a story. This is the thing that bothers me about watching the CBC. They do 45 minutes of nothing. Like, I've never seen people squeeze out less content out of these sorts of subject matters. They're like, well, we could talk about Elon Musk buying it up, and they're like, no, but they're just going to talk about how he's sort of controversial, and that was it. Like, they found the dumbest angle that also gives the least amount.
Like, they could have
to
at
talk
least
about.
done Trump. They could have been like, people are saying he might bring back Donald Trump, and that would be tantamount to murder because Donald Trump's tweets killed 50,000 Latinx, demisexual, non-binary, trans McMuffins. Okay, and that is genocide. I wouldn't mind if they called that genocide.
And like, they could have just simplified the story and made it 30 seconds if they're like, Elon Musk bought 9.2% of Twitter stock. We don't like free speech, and we don't like that people who are better journalists than us might get like put back onto Twitter.
Yeah, that would be the thing. But it was great that they did this. Like, free speech is kind of scary, guys. It's like really scary. And Elon Musk is like saying it's good, and we're gonna bring on 7 experts to say why you should be worried about saying whatever you want and tweets about Dogecoin being $420 because that's not good. Next story, literally. Russia is making it illegal for journalists to say things, and this is terrible. Russian journalists are afraid of violating the country's censorship laws. It's terrible. Oh, we forgot the last thing. Okay, last thing, because I remember the second story was climate. I forgot.
Oh,
I knew
this one was actually jam-packed with terrible. It's the award-winning episode.
It was an award-winning. This won an award for how great this episode was. There was numbers just like a new report says the climate is even more disastrous. And it's like you all know that, like, according to the most recent IPC whatever report you heard, we're all going to die in 5 minutes. Well, they just came up with a story. Well, turns out it's 4 minutes from now. It's actually, we're all going to die in 4 minutes.
Yeah, and they're like, they start off the story where it's like, oh, well, you've heard. And again, all this is just pie-in-the-sky nonsense, yet we have, like, 10 or 12 minutes on our public broadcasting corporations, like, newscast, dedicated to just pie-in-the-sky. It's like they might as well have just interviewed wizards. That's how stupid this is. But they just say that, like, oh, by the turn of the century, by 2100, we need to keep the climate from warming more than 1.5 degrees. And it's like, and then, I'm not even sure what they moved it down from, but they said they moved it down, and they said, we need to stop the growth of emissions by 2023.
It was by 2025 they must cap, and then they must go down immensely, and like, just no more energy. Like, there's got to be no more energy. Like, what are we going to do for moving things from point A to point B? We don't know. Like, we don't know how anyone's going to get anywhere. And Justin Trudeau will still, like, we got to ration the energy. So all we have enough is for one flight every week to take Justin Trudeau surfing wherever he wants to go, and that's their energy rations for as a country. You know, eat the bugs. While Prime Minister Blackface goes surfing.
I'd love for any of these CBC journalists or the experts they bring on to explain why people in Africa do not actually deserve to have fuel to to heat their homes, to cook food, and to drive to work. Why do they get nothing, but we get everything? Yeah.
Screw up. That's save the planet, kill everyone in Africa. That seems to be the woke narrative. So I think I'm giving this on the Rosemary Barton scale. I think this was a 9 out of 10 on the Rosemary Barton scale because there were a few stories that weren't ridiculous, but they couldn't mess them up. And I've seen 10s.
There was a couple ones that they got right. It's more so it's like stories, like there was a couple ones we're not mentioning, but it's like you couldn't have messed it up unless you were like attempting to. It wasn't even a political story, and so they didn't mess those up. I'm going to give it, like Elon Musk's Twitter biop, I'm going to give it a 9.2 on the Rosemary Barton.
A 9.2?
Yeah, Rosemary Barton scale out of 10.
Okay, I'm giving it a 69 out of 420 on the 9.2. Okay, we can upgrade it to a 9.2 on the Rosemary Barton scale. That's good.
Deal.
All right, so as this actually has won an award for Best Internet Program by the Association of Daniel's Grandmothers, and it was rough. And we'd like to thank everyone. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't, then Elon Musk will bring Donald Trump back.